Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Anita Louise, and today I'm going to show you how I made these really cute little ugly Christmas sweater gift card holders. So in this tutorial, I'll show you how to make the cute little sweater and the little button opening to close your gift card in there, right in there. And you even have the option of putting a little piece of ribbon or a yarn through it so you can hang it on your Christmas tree. So if you want to see how to make these, stay tuned. We're getting started right now. So for this little project, we will need 2 colors of yarn. I'm going to use some fun bright colors, this turquoise kind of aqua color and a white. I think I'm going to embellish this one with snowflakes and sparkle. So I'm going to be showing you how to make the one that has just 2 colors, so it's real easy. And then when you put all of your embellishments on it, you can make it look as fun or as cute or as ugly as you want. And it's just going to have a little button on it to put your little gift card in. Just easy peasy. So your 2 colors of yarn right here. You will also need some little scissors, a yarn needle, a size G6 crochet hook, some stitch markers. I like to have them in 2 different colors. It just makes it a lot easier for me. If you don't have stitch markers, you could use paper clips or little scraps of yarn, whatever you want. We'll need a little button for the back to button our gift card in. We'll need some thread and a little needle for sewing that button on. And then optional, you might want some ribbon because you can loop some ribbon through it so that you can hang it on your Christmas tree. This is totally optional though, because if you did want to hang it, you could also use your yarn. So either way, or curly Christmas ribbon would be really pretty too. So I'm going to scoot these out of the way so that we can get started. Okay, so first I'm going to make a little slip knot, and I'm starting with the color that will be the body of the sweater. So this part here. So for the sweater I'm making, I'm going to have blue for the body part, and then my trim is going to be white. So start with the color that you want the whole body to be, so your main color. And I'm going to make a little slip knot with this, and I like to make my slip knot pretzel style. And so just loop it around like a little pretzel. Sorry, it's kind of hard to see because my yarn's all curly, but just make a little slip knot. And then I'm going to chain 16. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And then I'm going to slip stitch into the very first chain right here. Then I'm going to chain 1 and single crochet in that very first chain where I just put my slip stitch. So 1 single crochet, and then I'm going to put 1 single crochet in each chain around. So I will have 16 altogether. So that one was 2. Here's 3 and 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. And as I was going, you guys, I'm sorry, I should have said this in the beginning. I crocheted on top of that tail end, my beginning yarn, just kind of to cover it up so that, so it's kind of covered, but we'll chop it off and trim it later. But I just like to crochet on top of my ends to kind of cover them up. And now we've done our 16 stitches all the way around, and I'm just going to slip stitch in the top of my first single crochet. There we go. So we've just got 16 little single crochets in a circle. Now chain 1, and we're going to do 1 single crochet in the space that we just did that little slip stitch. So there's a 1, and in the next one we're going to do 2 single crochets. There's a 1 and 2, and then in the next one 1 single crochet, and then in the next one 2 single crochets. So we're just going to continue that all the way around. 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochets, and then 1 single crochet, and 2 single crochets. And then when we're back to the beginning of our circle, we should have 24 single crochets all together. So here's a 1 and a 2, there's a 1, there's a 1 and a 2, there's a 1, and last one, there's 2 single crochets going in there. And then we're going to slip stitch in the beginning to the very first single crochet there. Slip stitch to the first one. Now, row 3, we're going to chain 1, and now we're going to increase on every 3rd stitch. So we're going to single crochet in the first one, single crochet in the second one, and then put 2 single crochets in the 3rd one. So 1 and a 2. So 1 single crochet in the next one, 1 single crochet in the next one, and then 2 single crochets in this one. So we've got a 1, a 1, and a 1, 2. So 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 1, 2, and now the last 3 stitches. Here's 1, 1, and in this last one we're going to do a 1 and a 2. Now we have 32 stitches all the way around in this row, and I'm going to slip stitch to the top of that first single crochet. Now I'm going to chain 1, and now we're going to be increasing every 4th crochet. So we're going to single crochet in that first little place where we did the slip stitch, single crochet in the next one, and in the next one. Now in this one, this will be our 4th one, we're doing 2 single crochets. There we go. So 1 single crochet in the first, 1 single crochet in the second, 1 single crochet in the 3rd, and now 2 single crochets in this one. There we go. So we've got 1, 1, 1, and now we do a 1, 2. There we go. I have to keep pulling my yarn out. This is a very new spool of yarn, so it's really tight. There we go. Okay. Now we've got 1, 1, 1, and then we've got a 1, 2, and 1, 1, 1, and a 1, 2. 1, 1, 1, and then a whoop, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, and 1, 2. All right, last 4 stitches. We're going to do a 1, a 1, a 1, and a 1, 2. So I've got 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, and now I'm going to slip stitch in the very first single crochet to close up my circle. There we go. Now this row we are going to just single crochet in every stitch around, but we're going to be placing some stitch markers to get ready to build our sleeves. So grab your little stitch markers and let's get ready. So we're going to chain 1, and then in that first space where I just did the slip stitch, I'm going to single crochet. So that is my first single crochet. Then I'm going to do 4 more so that I have 5 all together. All right, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now in this one, this is my 6th single crochet. I'm going to place a stitch marker in it. All right, so I have 5 single crochets and then 1 marked. So I'm going to count this one I just marked as 1. So I'm starting over again with my counting, so that is 1. And I'm going to do 9 more stitches. So one more stitch, so this will be 2. Here's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we've got the marked one plus 9 equals 10, and I'm going to place a stitch marker in that 10th one. And now, if you notice, I got stitch markers in 2 different colors, so I'm putting the same color together on this side. So I'm marking it with the same color. There we go. So now, from marker to marker, I have 10 stitches, this one being 1 and this one being 10. Now, we're going to do 10 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now in the next one, I'm going to single crochet and I'm going to place a stitch marker in it. Pull some yarn out here. Now I'm using my other color of stitch markers for this other side. There we go. All right, I'm going to start over with my counting. And this one is going to be counted as 1. And I'm going to do 9 more, so I have 10 altogether, just like this other side. So they'll be marked 1 and 10 again. So this is 1. So let's do another one. Here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And let's place a stitch marker in that one right there. All right, so from here to here we'll have 10 stitches. This one's 1 and this one's 10. And now I should have 5 single crochets left. Uh-oh. My stitch marker flipped over my stitch. Okay, so there should be just 5 single crochets left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm just gonna single crochet in each one of them. So there's 1, there's 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then slip stitch in our first single crochet. There we go. So now our little sweater is all marked out and we are ready to start our body, and this is marking off where our sleeves are gonna go. So if you look at it, if you want to double check yourself, you should have, starting with an unmarked stitch, you should have 10 across here. Then with the marked one, marked being 1 and this one being 10, you should have 10 in here. Then going past the marked ones, just unmarked to unmarked, you should have 10 right here. And then on the other side, this being 1 and this being 10, you should have 10 in there. And that is all. So now we are going to do a chain 1, and we're going to do 5 single crochets. The first one is going to be in that little slip stitch that you just made. So 1, and then we've got 2, 3, 4, and 5. And now we are going to fold our little circle in half. Now, this is why I like having the same color stitch markers. I've got same color to same color, marked stitch to marked stitch. Now, I have done 5 single crochets, and now I'm going to do another single crochet in the next unmarked stitch on this side. So, and I do not want to go into it this way. That would make my stitches backwards and all crazy. We're going to do it like we're crocheting in the round. So we've just done our 5 across here, and we're going to turn this around and go through the front of this next unmarked stitch and single crochet right into it. And then we have 9 more stitches across the front to go through. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now I've reached my marked stitch on the other side. I'm going to make sure that my work is folded together, marked stitch to marked stitch. And then I'm going to go into the next unmarked stitch, but remember, I'm not going to go through it this way because then my stitches would be backwards going back. I'm going to turn it around and go in through the front of that single crochet. 1, and then I'll have 4 more to go to get back to the beginning. So 4 single crochets. There's 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we go. And now I'm going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet. And I'm just going to take this out to show you guys. So we've just worked around the circle, just skipping those marked stitches. So we should have 20 single crochets in this little circle. And then the 10 over here that are marked are skipped, and the 10 over here that are marked are skipped, because that is where our little sleeves are going to be built down from. So now for our next row, we're going to chain 1, and we're just going to work evenly around this little circle that we've just built. We're just going to do 20 stitches. So first one in our first stitch where our slip stitch went, we've got a 1, there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. And now slip stitch into the very first single crochet. There, now we've just gone around our little circle and made the body just a tiny bit longer on our sweater. So now for this row, we're going to be increasing every 5th stitch. So I'm going to chain 1 and single crochet in that first stitch, single crochet in the second stitch, single crochet in the third stitch, and in the 4th stitch, and now in the 5th stitch, I'm going to do 2 single crochets. So there's a 1 and a 2, and then single crochet in the next stitch, and in the next one, in the next one, and in the next one, and now 2 single crochets in this one. 1, 2. All right, single crochet in the next 4 stitches. Here's a 1, a 2, 3, a 4. Now 2 single crochets in this one. There's a 1 and a 2. And now we're to our last 5 stitches. So single crochet in the next 4. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 2 single crochets in your very last stitch. 1, 2. And now I'm going to slip stitch in the top of my very first single crochet. There we go. Oh, can you see how it's already being built? So we've got where the little arms are going to go and where the little body is. It's so cute. All right, so now for the next 5 rows, we're going to be working evenly around here. So there should be 24 stitches. So you're just going to chain 1, single crochet in your first stitch, and single crochet in every stitch around, and just work evenly. 1 single crochet in each single crochet around. So this is row 1, and you're going to have 5 evenly worked rows all together. So here is the first one. And in our last couple stitches, 23 and 24, and then I'm going to slip stitch into the first stitch. So that was row 1 of our 5 evenly worked rows. So chain 1, single crochet in your first one, and just repeat that 4 more times. And once you have repeated that row 4 more times to have 5 evenly worked rows all together, your sweater should look like this. And now we're going to chain 1, and this is going to be a decrease round. So we're going to be decreasing every 5th and 6th stitches. So we're going to single crochet in the first one, and single crochet in the second one, and in the third, and in the 4th. Now for these 5th and 6th, we're going to be doing a decrease. So we're going to insert our hook and draw up a loop, and then insert our hook in the next one and draw up a loop, and then yarn over and draw through all 3 loops. So we just decreased 1 stitch. Now we're going to do that again. So single crochet in the next 4 stitches. So there's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and now we're going to insert our hook in the next stitch, draw up a loop, insert our hook in the next stitch, draw up a loop, yarn over, and draw through all 3 loops for another decrease. Now single crochet in the next 4 stitches. There's a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and now we're going to insert, draw up a loop, and then insert, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through all 3 loops, and then we're going to do that one more time. So 4 single crochets. There's 1 and 2, there's 3, and there's 4. Now in our last 2 stitches we're going to decrease, so insert, draw up a loop, insert, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through all 3, and then we're going to slip stitch into our very first single crochet. All right, and now we have finished the body part in the body color. So we are going to attach our trim. So we can kind of loosen up this and snip our yarn, because we're going to start with our white now. So, or whatever trim color you're using. So you can kind of leave this end hanging out because we can crochet on top of it to cover it up, and then we'll trim it later on. So now grab the color that you've chosen for your trim color, and we're gonna go into the stitch that we just slip stitched into. And I'm going to leave this yarn here because I'm going to be crocheting on top of it. So just grab your trim color, loop it over your hook, and draw it through to make a little loop. Now we're going to chain 1, and in that stitch where we just connected, and in the next 8 stitches, we're going to single crochet. So in the first one, 1 single crochet. You may have to pull on the end of your trim yarn so it doesn't loosen up. There we go. So 1 single crochet in the first one, a single crochet in the second one, in the third one, in the fourth one, and I am crocheting on top of both of my end pieces to cover them up. So I've got the end of the trim color and the one that I just trimmed off. So in case you're wondering what I'm doing with those, I always like to crochet on top of my ends to cover them up. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 so far. Single crochet in the next one, that makes 5. Single crochet in the next one, there's 6. In the next one, there's 7. In the next one, 8, and in the next one is 9. Now in this next one, I'm going to do 2 single crochets. There's 1 and 2. Now I'm going to chain 9 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then I'm going to slip stitch down into the single crochet that I just made. So my very last single crochet. And I kind of just go through the front loop of it and slip stitch. There we go. And then I'm going to do 2 single crochets into the next single crochet on the body of my sweater. So there's 1, 2. And now we've just made a little buttonhole for our button that we're going to sew on the other side. And now I should have 9 more single crochets. So we're just going to single crochet into each of the rest of them. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And now I can slip stitch into the top of my very first single crochet. There. Now I can pull out a little loop and snip our trim yarn because we are all finished with that for a while. Actually, we're all finished with this end. And we're going to weave this yarn in with our yarn needle in just a little bit at the end. So now we are ready to move on to the sleeves. So looking cute so far. Oh, we are finished with the body. Yay. Okay, so for the sleeves, we're going to flip our sweater over to the back, and I'm going to be starting with the first marked stitch on the top when I flip it this way. And I'm going to go ahead and, let's see, I'm going to remove this little mark, and I'm going to take a look at where it is because that is where I need to put my hook. Right there. There we go. Now we're going to be grabbing the body color of our sweater. So whatever body color we have, grab that yarn. And I'm just going to do a little loop over my hook and just pull up just a little loop. And now I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to single crochet in that space. And then I'm going to single crochet in each stitch around. So there's 1, there should be 9 more because there's 10 all together, and I'm crocheting over my end here. So I've got 2 so far, the first one and the second one that I just made. Here's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and now my last one, my 10th one, is going to be my other marked stitch right here. So I'm going to take that little stitch marker out, keep my eye on that stitch because that is where my last stitch is going. All right, and now I'm going to slip stitch into the very first stitch that I made, so it's on the other side. So kind of flip this over and slip stitch right through the front of that stitch. And there we go. And I'm going to trim this little end right now because it's just getting in the way. There we go. Now we have just made a little loop that is going to be the sleeve. So we're going to be working around just this little loop, same way we worked around the body loop before. So we're going to chain 1, and we're going to single crochet in the next 8 stitches. So, well, sorry, in 8 stitches. So the first one's going in the place where we just did our slip stitch. So there's 1, and so we've got 8, so we'll need 7 more. There's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and now we are at our 9th and 10th, our last 2 stitches. We're going to do a decrease stitch. So insert into the next stitch and draw up a loop, and then insert into the next stitch and draw up a loop, and yarn over and draw through all 3 loops. And now we're going to slip stitch into our very first single crochet that's on the other side. There we go. Now we're ready for our next row. We're going to chain 1, single crochet in the first stitch, and then 8 more single crochets to make 9 all together. So we're working evenly around this row. And we're going to do 3 rows like this of just working evenly. So here's the first one. We've already made 1 stitch. Here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then slip stitch into your first one. Chain 1, single crochet in that very first stitch, and in the next 8 stitches, so we've got 9 all together. This is our second row of working evenly all the way around. It's fun crocheting the sleeves because they're so tiny that the rows go really quickly, so you feel like you're really flying through it. But this really is a really quick project. I've made a bunch of these little sweaters, and I'm gonna make a little garland with them, I think. All right, so I've already started my third row, the last row of working evenly with our 9 stitches. All the way around here, almost to the end. And slip stitch in the top of your first one. All right, so we have 3 evenly worked rows of 9 stitches. This one is going to be a decrease row. So we're going to chain 1, single crochet in that first stitch, and in the next 6 stitches. So you have 7 all together. So that was 1. Here's 2. There's 3 and 4 and 5. There's 6 and 7. And now in the 8th and 9th, we're going to do a decrease. So insert, draw up a loop, insert in the next one, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through all 3 loops, and slip stitch into your first single crochet. Now we're going to work evenly 3 more rows. So 3 evenly worked rows of 8 single crochets around. So chain 1, single crochet in your first stitch, and in the next 7. So that makes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and slip stitch into your first single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. Now we're on our second row of evenly worked stitches all the way around. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, slip stitch into your first one. And last row of evenly worked stitches. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and slip stitch into your first one. And now we can pull up our loop and snip our yarn because that sleeve is finished except for the trim color. So pull that loop out, and now I'm going to insert my hook. Really, you can insert it anywhere on here because you can pull up your trim color anywhere, it doesn't matter. I'm going to put it in right here, right before my last stitch, so I can crochet on top of this little end here. So I'm just going to grab my trim color and draw a little loop through. And I'm going to chain 1 with it and single crochet in the place that I just attached it. There we go. And in the next 7 stitches. So here's my next one. It's where my slip stitch just was. So that's my second stitch. You might have to just pull your little ends so they don't, here, so your stitches aren't loose. So I've got 2 so far. There's 3. There's 4. 5. 6. 7. And 8. And now I can slip stitch into my very first single crochet. There we go, and just pull your loop out a little bit because we can trim this yarn. And then we can weave this in with our little yarn needle. I'm going to trim this other end here. There we go. Yay, how cute. We have one little sleeve done and our button loop and our whole body. All right, so now let's go on over and work on our other sleeve. I'm gonna trim this other end piece here too. There we go, because we've already stitched over it a bunch, so we don't need it anymore. All right, now, so coming on over to our other little sleeve, I'm going to take this stitch marker out and put our hook right where that stitch marker was. And we're gonna grab our yarn of our body color of our sweater, loop it over our hook, pull it on through just a little bit to pull up a little loop, and I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm going to do a single crochet right where I just attached my yarn, and in the next 9 stitches around, so that I have 10 single crochets all the way around. So this makes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the last one is going to be this little marked stitch. So I'm going to take my marker out and single crochet right there. And that makes 10, and now I'm going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet that I made. And there we go. Now I'm going to chain 1 and single crochet in this first single crochet, and then I'm going to single crochet in the next 7, so I've got 8 altogether. So that was 1, here's 2, and 3, and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and now these last 2, the 9th and 10th, are where we're going to do a decrease. So we're going to insert, draw up a loop, insert in the next one, draw up a loop, and yarn over and draw through all 3 loops. So now we've got 9 stitches around, and we're going to slip stitch into the very first one. There we go. Now chain 1, single crochet in that very first stitch where you just put your slip stitch. And then we're going to single crochet in the next 8 stitches so that we've got 9 around. And that's going to be our first row of evenly worked stitches. And we're going to do 3 all together of evenly worked 9 stitches all the way around. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then slip stitch into the top of your first single crochet. And now chain 1, single crochet in that first stitch, and in the next 8 stitches around, this is our second row of evenly worked 9 stitches all the way around. There we go. Last one, and slip stitch into the top of your first single crochet. Chain one, single crochet. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and slip stitch into the first single crochet. So that was our third evenly worked row. Now chain one, single crochet into this first stitch, and now we're going to be doing 7 crochets all the way around and then a decrease in our 8th and 9th stitches. So that was 1. Here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and in the 8th and 9th, we'll rewind, we're at the 8th and 9th stitches. We're going to insert, draw up a loop, insert in the next one, draw up a loop, yarn over, draw through all 3 loops, and then slip stitch into our first single crochet. So now we've got 8 single crochets in our loop, and we're going to work evenly for 3 rows. So chain one, single crochet in your first stitch, and in the next 7, so this makes 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, last one on this row, 8, slip stitch into your first single crochet, chain one, single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, slip stitch in your first stitch, chain one, single crochet in your first one. This will be our last row of evenly worked 8 stitches all the way around. There's 3, there's 4, 5, 6, oops, 7, and 8, and slip stitch into your first one. And kind of pull out a loop because we are finished with that sleeve. So you can trim your little yarn piece and pull it on through. And now we're going to add our trim again. So insert your hook. And then we're going to grab, oops, grab our trim color and just pull through a little loop. Chain one, single crochet. So you'll have 8 single crochets all the way around. So we've got that first one. This makes 2. Pull this end piece a little bit. 3 is where my slip stitch is. You can insert your trim in any stitch you want. Just make sure you go through all 8 stitches. And I lost count. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, that was 5. Okay, here's 6. And there's 7, and last one, 8. There we go, and let's slip stitch into our very first single crochet over here. There we go, and now snip our yarn. I'm going to trim these old ends off, but I'm not going to trim this one that I just took off because I need to weave that in because I haven't crocheted over it or anything. There we go. Now Oh, we're getting so close to finish. It's so cute. I like this color. I think it's gonna be so pretty with snowmen and snowflakes and lots of bling all over it. All right, now we're gonna be doing the trim around our neck. So this is 16 stitches around. So you can insert your hook anywhere you like. I'm going to put it, let's see, right before the transition end there. We can put it anywhere. Okay, so insert your little hook into one of the loops around the neck. So this is the bottom side of your chain. So you're not going into single crochet, so it's a tiny bit harder to see, but you can see that you have little loops from your beginning chain, and that's what we're going to be going through. And it just gives you a pretty little neckline that matches your bottom and your sleeves here. Oop, I think I'm out of focus. So that's what we're going to be making. And I do it in the back so that you don't see a connection in the front here. I just flip it over so that the like my slip stitch and my beginning stitch and all that is in the back. So insert your little hook wherever you like in the back. You could put it here, you could put it here, here. Doesn't matter, doesn't matter. You're gonna grab your trim color, lay it over your hook and just draw up a little loop. And you're gonna chain one, and you're going to single crochet in that first little loop and in each little loop around that is your chain. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and the last one, 16. And then I'm just going to slip stitch into the top of my first single crochet and pull out a little loop, snip my yarn, pull my loop all the way through. There. Oh, it's so cute. I'm going to snip that. I had a little end I was crocheting over. Whoop. There. Now, oh, it's so cute. We're all finished with the crocheting of our sweater. Now we just have to weave in our yarns and sew on our button. That is all. So I'm going to grab my yarn needle and weave in some yarns. So the way I like to do it is I like to take my needle and weave it through the bottoms of the stitches, kind of like the little legs of my single crochets. I like to run the needle through there and then thread it and pull my yarn through. So just run it through a couple of stitches. And then thread my needle. And then pull it on through. And then just repeat that with the rest of them. there. And once all of our ends are woven in, we are ready to sew a button on our little sweater. So we're gonna flip it around, and you wanna stitch your button right in the middle of the back of your sweater, so you can kind of see where your connecting stitches are, and that's the center of your sweater, so that's where your button's gonna go, right in the bottom center. And I put it, I guess it would be in the second row from the bottom. So I put it, well, it's kind of in between the second from the last and the last. I put it right about there. So kind of in between those two little rows. You can't even see that, how that needle's tiny. So right about there. So that is where the little button's gonna go. Boop. But you can kind of just bring your loop over and see where it needs to go. So yeah, and yeah, that's it. And then I just sew it on like a regular little button, how you'd sew a button on. See if I can thread this needle. Bruce Wayne, are you okay? Oh, it's my little chihuahua having a little coughing / sneezing fit. Okay, so I just threaded my needle, and I'm just gonna make a little knot in it. All right, I'm gonna connect my button to my needle and thread by going up and then down. And then I go through the loop that I just made by tying the knot. And that just loops the button on there so that it's stuck on there. And then I'm just gonna go up and down and stitch this on. So right there is where I was stitching it, right kind of in between the last two rows. Because you just want it positioned like you want the edge of the button to be along the bottom edge of your sweater pretty much. Because then your little loop will go right over it. And then once you feel like your button is really secure, you can go ahead and trim your thread. And let's test it out. Ooh, I have a gift card, okay. It's not a Christmas gift card, but it's like a springtime gift card. Okay. There we go. And let's loop it over and make sure it works. Oh, yes, it does. How much cuteness is that? Okay. Now, one last thing I want to show you, just in case you want to hang this on your Christmas tree or something. You can grab either yarn or ribbon, and you're going to thread it through your big yarn needle. And then take it, and we're going to be putting the your needle in between your first and second row of your body under your collar. So, but I mean, really, you could loop it anywhere. It probably doesn't matter, but I put it in between this, I guess it's my first and second row because there's my chain. Okay, so first and second row, I popped my needle right in there. And then on the other side too, thread it right up in there. And then you can pull your needle out, and then you just want to take your ribbon or yarn or whatever. You can snip it and then just tie it. Like that. And then you can hang it on your tree or wherever you like. You could hang it in front of a little stocking and put it wherever you want to. How cute is that, you guys? And so yes, now the final step would be decorating your cute little sweaters. And let me show you what I got to decorate. So I went to Joann Fabrics and I got stickers from the scrapbooking section, and I got sequins and all of these adorable little buttons. I mean, they have them in all different themes, cooking and of course Christmas and animals and everything. And More stickers, pom-poms I had from last year, and bells I had from last year. So you can put so many cute things. Like on this one, I did sequins and beads and buttons. And on this one, these are scrapbooking stickers with little bells. So you can just get whatever you want to decorate them, and you can sew them on or hot glue gun them on, whatever you want. This would be a fun project for kids too, with a little bit of supervision. If you make the little sweaters and then let them decorate them, that would be so fun, so much fun. So, and with this one, I even used like some fuzzy yarn. You can use any kind of yarn you want for the trim. On this one, I put a sparkle. So yes, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you have fun making cute little sweaters. Thank you so much for joining me, everyone. I hope you had fun learning how to crochet these cute little sweaters, and I hope you have fun decorating them with all the fun, cool stuff you can find at your craft store. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up or comment down below and tell me what you're doing with your ugly Christmas sweaters. I mean, there's so many options. You could actually put little wrapped presents in them. You can all string them together to make a little garland like this one. So I hope you enjoyed this, and hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Bye!